It's Friday, October 23rd, 2009, and it's got to be 4:20 somewhere in the world. I'm your host, Radical Russ Belville.
Produced and distributed by the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws in Washington, D.C., this is your NORML Daily Audio Stash, the growing truth about cannabis. Welcome to the most popular podcast regarding marijuana in all of America and all the world, featuring interviews with scientists, politicians, doctors, prohibition policy activists, regular cannabis consumers, musicians, and NORML staff and NORML's board of directors, along with music and comedy no other podcast can offer. You can always find out more about our show at our website, stash.norml.org, and continue the education and conversation on our blog as well. We're ending marijuana prohibition with education, one listener at a time. The podcasting and blogging technology for the NORML Daily Audio Stash is provided by Red Aphid Interactive Media. For your professional web design needs, visit redaphid.com.
Good day, Stashers, and welcome to the podcast. We are on the road here, live from San Bernardino, California, or as the locals call it, San Bernardino. And as I misspelled it all this week, it's Bernardino, not Bernardino. I guess I was thinking of Bernadette Phillips or something. Anyway, glad to have you here for the podcast. The sound quality will be a little bit different as I'm working with the laptop and the headset today, so we hope Jack can clean that up as good as possible, but if it's a little hissy or tinny, I apologize. We are working with the remote studio today. Also wanted to point out some posts that have made it to the NORML blog regarding women in NORML. We've been following the phenomenon of stiletto stoners and Republican moms for marijuana. Much more about that at the NORML blog at norml.org, and it's getting a lot of attention in the press today. We believe that women are going to be key in ending adult marijuana prohibition, just like they were a key in ending adult alcohol prohibition.
It only comes twice a day, but I don't care. It's 4:20 somewhere.
Time to take a look at our cannabis community calendar, which you can find at norml.org/calendar. Tomorrow, Saturday, October 24th, Oregon NORML in Portland, Oregon, holds their twice-monthly cardholders meeting at the Village Ballroom at 700 Northeast Deacom in Portland, Oregon. This is for cardholders in the medical marijuana program only. For more information, check out norml.org. Also on Saturday, NORML Nebraska will be having an open meeting in Omaha at McFoster's Natural Kind Cafe at 302 South 38th Street. For more information, please check out normalnebraska.org. And NORML Show Live goes on the air Saturday night at a special time, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, to give you live audio from here at the Cypress Hill Smokeout in San Bernardino, California. We'll be featuring the set from Cheech and Chong at around 4:20, and the set from Sublime, the newly reunited Sublime, from the stage there at the amphitheater. Other acts that will be involved in Saturday will be Cypress Hill, the Deftones, and Slipknot on the main stage. And on the Indonesia stage, we'll be seeing Living Legends, Immortal Technique, Cottonmouth Kings, Method Man and Redman, and Bad Brains. It's going to be quite the festival. Today, on Friday, we're going to be able to hear Devin the Dude, Psycho Realm, Hieroglyphics, Ghetto Boys, Goody Mob, and Cypress Hill. Also tonight, they are having a 420 movie night where we can see the movies How High at 7:30 p.m. and Cheech and Chong's Nice Dreams at 9:15 p.m. There's also the expert panels, of which I'm a member of the second panel on the Saturday. That'll be the panel running from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock on legalization. And there's all sorts of meet and greets with Cypress Hill, Cheech and Chong, Sublime, and many others. We'll be getting as many of those interviews as possible on NORML Show Live tomorrow, 4 o'clock Pacific Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. To get your events noted on the NORML Cannabis Community Calendar, send me an email at stash@norml.org, and I'll send you the instructions to get started.
It's a NORML shout-out.
Our shout-outs today go to the people of Southern California, particularly San Diego, San Bernardino area, Riverside, Imperial counties. We're trying to get you all organized because, as you know, San Diego's district attorney has vowed to shut down all medical marijuana in the state of California, so we need energized and organized Southern Californians to get involved. Check out Southern California NORML at socalnormal.org. We also want to put the word out to the people in the state of Connecticut. We're trying to reform that Connecticut chapter, and we need energized people like you to help us do it. If you're interested in getting involved with NORML in the state of Connecticut, send me an email at chapters@normal.org. And if you'd like to start a NORML chapter or find others in your area who are trying to do the same, just send me that email at chapters@normal.org. Now, coming up on your daily audio stash, we begin with your hemp headlines, including a look at a Supreme Court ruling from the state of Minnesota that declares bong water to be a controlled substance. Jay Leno makes a terrible joke about our friend Miss New Jersey 2006, Georgine DiMaria. And Bob Weiner's Reefer Madness. In our Daily Toker Tunes, we're continuing our look at the best of tunes that we've played over the past year and a half. And apropos of today's road trip, we play Stoned Traveler by Roger Allen Wade. And in our Cannabis Conversations, we speak with Michael C. Rupert, the man behind a book that has been turned into a new movie called Collapse, and the intriguing story of how his publishing company canceled his book deal because 1 out of 25 of his points had to deal with legalizing hemp. All that and more coming up on your NORML Daily Audio Stash.
Hello, I'm Paul Stanford from the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation, or THCF. Medical marijuana is legal in 13 states today, and THCF has clinics in 8 of those states. Our doctors help qualified patients obtain an authorization for medical marijuana in their state. Patients are eligible for medical marijuana with a history of either severe chronic pain and or nausea, cancer, AIDS or HIV, hepatitis, glaucoma, seizure disorders like epilepsy, chronic muscle spasms such as in multiple sclerosis or asthma, neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's, and gastrointestinal disorders like IBS or Crohn's disease. If you or someone you know has one of these conditions, our doctors will help you obtain a permit for medical marijuana. THCF Medical Clinics has offices in Washington State, Oregon, California, Colorado, Hawaii, Nevada, Montana, and now Michigan. Call 1-800-723-0188 or go to the web at hemp.org or 1-800-723-0188.
Now it's time to take a look at the latest stories about marijuana from news organizations across America and around the world in our NORML Daily Audio Stash, Hemp Headlines.
Minnesota Supreme Court rules bong water is a drug. From the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. Bong water can count as a controlled substance, the Minnesota Supreme Court ruled Thursday in a decision that raises the threat of longer sentences for drug smokers who fail to dump the water out of their pipes. In a 4-3 decision Thursday, the state's highest court said a person can be prosecuted for a first-degree crime for 25 grams or more of bong water that tests positive for a controlled substance. The statute defines a drug mixture as, quote, a preparation, compound, mixture, or substance containing a controlled substance, regardless of purity, end quote. When the language of a statute is unambiguous, the High Court said, precedents prohibit courts from disregarding the letter of the law under the pretext of pursuing the spirit of the law. Regardless of purity, huh? That means that even a fleck of an ash that registers a molecule of THC floating in your bong water makes all that water weight a controlled substance. Now let's see, 25 grams of water equals 25 milliliters, which equals a little over 5 teaspoons of water. 5 teaspoons of water in your bong makes you a first-degree criminal in Minnesota. 1.5 ounces of bong water would make you a felon. Jay Leno mocks medical marijuana patient Georgine DiMaria. from The Jay Leno Show.
Yeah, did you see this? Washington Post columnist Kathleen Parker reports this week that the 2006 Miss New Jersey winner, Georgine DeMaria, Miss New Jersey, she uses medical marijuana to treat asthma. Smoking to treat asthma? Really? Isn't that like eating at Taco Bell to control your diarrhea? Let me tell you something. You know, if Miss New Jersey wants to help her breathing, move out of New Jersey.
Oh, that Jay Leno. He's so funny. Well, except for the fact that, strange as it may seem, marijuana is a bronchodilator and antispasmodic and has been used for treatment of asthma for centuries. Cannabis opens up the airways, unlike tobacco smoke that constricts them. There are over 60 references you can look up on the National Institute of Health's PubMed database. Furthermore, any cursory investigation of Georgine's interviews, including on the stash, would reveal that Miss New Jersey does not endorse the smoking of marijuana and instead uses a cannabis vaporizer to help control her asthma. Oh, Russ, it's just a joke, right? Well, I seem to remember back in the day, one of my favorite comedians, the late Sam Kinison, getting pilloried in the press and by activist groups for telling medically inaccurate jokes about AIDS. Kinison later apologized for his insensitivity after many friends and public pressure helped educate him about the disease. When Jay Leno tells a medically inaccurate joke like this one, he helps solidify the public relations campaign that says medical marijuana is a fraud or it is so-called medical marijuana. It perpetuates misinformation about cannabis's medical usage and undermines Georgine's personal battle to help others like her who suffer the side effects of conventional asthma therapies, people who could benefit from medical marijuana, but can't because the legislators of their state believe the misinformation and laugh at medical marijuana proposals as if it were some part of some comedian's monologue.
Marijuana is an addictive drug which produces in its users insanity, criminality, and death.
Marijuana is the most violence-causing drug in the history of mankind.
If the hideous monster Frankenstein came face to face with the monster of marijuana, he would drop dead from fright.
Madness.
Bob Weiner's Reefer Madness. Department of Justice memo means use may explode for healthy people. It's fun to watch prohibitionist ideologues thrash about as the polls show ever-increasing support for cannabis relegalization. This recent memo by the Obama administration declaring a hands-off policy for state-compliant medical marijuana operations has whipped up former Clinton administration drug policy spokesman Bob Weiner.
Quote, "Be careful about the new lax enforcement policy for medical marijuana." Former White House drug policy spokesman Bob Weiner is telling the Department of Justice and the Obama administration, prescription marijuana use may explode for healthy people, end quote. Unfortunately, as many as 90% of purchases at clinical distribution centers are false defenses, some law enforcement agents report, quote, which means individuals are not really sick, but simply want the pot, end quote. Weiner asserts.
Again with the super cops who can discern someone's relative health on sight alone.
Quote, medical marijuana is not as effective as other healing mechanisms for many illnesses, such as glaucoma, pain, or nausea, that users try it for because of false hype leading to false hope. Just as Laetrile was legalized in the 1970s in 27 states to cure cancer, but was found to be useless apricot pits, leading Senator Kennedy in a Senate hearing to decry the false hope, delaying true treatment. Medical marijuana today could be a placebo delaying far better treatments, end quote, according to Weiner.
Unfortunately, there was no hope for that run-on sentence, which perished in a tragic head-on collision with a false analogy. The difference between Laetrile and medical marijuana is that 850,000 people a year don't get their lives permanently affected by an arrest for Laetrile. Medical marijuana is far more popular and effective as judged by the millions who use it, some of whom are only alive today, like, for example, Kathy Jordan, because of medical marijuana. Laetrile was indeed a false hope. Thus, few people seek it out anymore, even though it is an unscheduled substance. Marijuana is the third most popular substance behind alcohol and tobacco because lots of people continue to seek it out, even after a century of prohibition.
Quote, many medical marijuana advocates press its use for pain killing and appetite enhancement, Weiner asserted, but you might feel just as good after a shot of gin. Science, not politics, must drive what is determined to be safe and effective medicine in America. The medical marijuana advocates never mention the potentially better applications of THC in marijuana from suppositories, gels, aerosols, or the already approved pill Marinol. They just want the high from the smoked version.
Yeah, you might feel good after a shot of gin, but you'd find yourself feeling worse later and find the alcohol exacerbating your problems, unlike cannabis. And Bob Weiner has obviously never tried Marinol, which got me higher than any marijuana I've ever tried. Or he's never heard us drone on for years now about vaporization, tinctures, and edibles.
Quote, there is a real danger that if marijuana is made essentially a prescription drug, its abuse and usage explosion could parallel other prescription drugs over the last decade, such as OxyContin, which have tripled nationally and quintupled in many locations because of the ease of availability, end quote.
A real danger, perhaps, if marijuana were as addictive and deadly as OxyContin. Using Weiner logic, I could say there's a real danger that if badminton is made into a televised sport, its ratings could match the NFL.
Quote, no one wants to deny a dying cancer patient a hit of grass if that's what he or she wants, end quote.
Well, unless he or she fools the super cop into thinking he or she looks too young and healthy. Why is it okay for the dying cancer patient to enjoy, quote, the high from the smoked version, end quote, but not the, quote, healthy people, end quote? Is the notion here that pot's gonna scramble your brains, corrupt your morals, and destroy your body, but fuck it, you'll be dead soon anyway, so what? At least the cancer patient got a little slice of joy amidst all his or her suffering. But you healthy person, no joy for you. I really, really think that is part of the prohibitionist mindset. Alcohol is okay because even though it gives you joy, it kicks your ass with a hangover the next day, and it slowly kills you if you keep it up. Cigarettes are okay because even though they give you joy, or at least relieve a craving, you're punished by standing outside in the cold, and it slowly kills you if you keep it up. But cannabis gives you joy, and then the next day, week, month, year, and decade, you feel fine, and you still get joy from it. There's little downside to pot use except for the illegality. There's no payback of misery in exchange for your joy.
Just say no.
No matter what you call it, it's a huge part of popular culture.
Where'd you learn that, Cheech? Drug school.
You don't need weed school. You just need a copy of the new book, Pot Culture, the A to Z Guide to Stoner Language and Life.
Hey, this is great, man.
Even if you never smoked marijuana.
I never used marijuana. Sorry.
Don't think you smoked marijuana.
I experimented with marijuana a time or two and didn't inhale.
Or you used to smoke marijuana.
I inhaled frequently. That was the point.
Pot Culture by former High Times editor Steve Bloom and Shirley Halperin will answer every question you ever had about marijuana culture.
Has that marijuana made it back up here yet?
Check out Pot Culture, the A to Z guide to stoner language and life at Amazon.com or visit potculturebook.com today.
Too bad, man. I just stopped smoking yesterday.
The battle to end adult marijuana prohibition can sometimes seem endlessly frustrating and impossible to overcome. One way we bond as a community and draw strength to continue is by rejuvenating our spirit through art and music. The Marijuana Music Awards exist to recognize those sonic artists in all genres of music who feature a ganja-friendly message to motivate and inspire all the cannabis community. Our daily Toker tunes, brought to you by MarijuanaMusicAwards.com, feature the finest in blues, rock, jazz, hip-hop, rap, reggae, country, bluegrass, and dance music to enhance that 420 feeling while promoting the message of reform. To donate your song for possible use on the stash, enter it in the next Marijuana Music Awards contest today.
Me and Cannabis Carrie are on the road today, so it's the perfect opportunity to revisit the Toker tune Stoned Traveler. Although we suggest you always drive straight, we hold no such recommendations for your passengers. Today, serve up some countrified blues with Roger Allen Wade and a great stash song, Stoned Traveler. Roger Allen Wade has a famous cousin, Johnny Knoxville, and his album is by Knoxville's record label. Who knew Johnny Knoxville took time away from his groin punishing to run a record label company? All jackass references aside, Roger's music sells itself. He has written music for many of country music's greats, and he wrote the #1 country hit, Country State of Mind, that was recorded by Hank Williams Jr. This is a stripped-down sound with a great folksy arrangement, and Wade's voice fits well into his laid-back country genre. Wade calls Chattanooga, Tennessee home. And registered stashers, you can get an MP3 download of this tune. It's Roger Allen Wade with Stoned Traveler.
I'm a stone traveler, got no place in this world to call my home. I'm a stone traveler, got no place in this world to call my home. But there's a mansion that is mine at the end of that line between them numbers on a stone. I walked that lonesome valley like any rambling man. Lord, I walked that lonesome valley like any rambling man. Boy, I get to where I'm going and get back the best way that I can. I'm a stone traveler, got no place in this world to call my home. I'm a stone traveler, got no place in this world to call my home. But there's a mansion that is mine at the end of that line between them numbers on a stone. Lord, I talk to God Almighty more than I talk to anybody else. But there's a thin line between praying and a crazy man just talking to himself. I am a stone traveler, got no place in this world to call my home. Stone traveler, got no place in this world to call my home. But there's a mansion that is mine at the end of that line between them numbers on his stone. Lord, there's a mansion that is mine at the end of that line between them numbers on my gravestone.
Have you considered medical marijuana? Double-blind, peer-reviewed studies have found cannabinoid therapies to be successful in treating the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, brain cancers, chronic pain, diabetes mellitus, dystonia, fibromyalgia, GI disorders, hepatitis C, HIV/AIDS, hypertension, incontinence, MRSA, multiple sclerosis, osteoporosis, pruritus, rheumatoid arthritis, sleep apnea, and Tourette's syndrome, as well as anecdotal evidence suggesting relief from anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress, plus reduction in the need for narcotic painkillers. Side effects of medical marijuana can include euphoria, relaxation, anxiety, panic reactions, paranoia, tachycardia, dry eyes, dry mouth, concentration and reaction time impairment, appetite increase, and in 37 states, arrest and incarceration. But medical marijuana is non-toxic and cannot cause overdose. Medical marijuana. It's not for everyone, but ask your doctor if medical marijuana may be right for you. Legalization, decriminalization, lowest law enforcement priority, medical marijuana, ganja sacrament, consumer cannabis, industrial hemp. The world of marijuana law reform involves many different aspects of cannabis that intersect nearly every public policy discussion in America, including healthcare, the economy, global climate change, law enforcement and prisons, immigration, religion, free speech, energy policy, and war. Now we take a look at how re-legalizing marijuana will change the world in our NORML daily audio stash, Cannabis Conversations. One of my favorite things to do here at the NORML daily audio stash is speak to filmmakers and authors and people that are trying to get the truth out about marijuana, cannabis, hemp, whatever you want to call it. And joining me today is one such person named Michael C. Rupert, joining us by telephone. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Now, you are the author of a book called Crossing the Rubicon, and most recently there's a movie coming out soon called Collapse, and there's a very interesting tale between you, this movie, and another book that you've written, and I thought this would be of interest to our listeners here at the Daily Audio Stash. Let's first talk about this movie, Collapse, that's coming out, and how people can see it, and what is it about, basically?
Well, it's a movie which basically stunned everybody at the Toronto International Film Festival in September 12th. It had amazing, overwhelmingly positive reviews from sources like Variety, Entertainment Weekly. I mean, just incredible reviews. You can read those at the website collapsemovie.com. And it's essentially 82 minutes of acclaimed director Chris Smith, who's won Sundance twice, interviewing me, interspersed with a lot of what we call B-roll footage or archival footage and graphics and visuals. There's some great visuals in there. And basically the theme is the collapse of human industrial civilization as a result of a situation called peak oil, the fact that the world is running out of oil, which is indispensable. Not really running out, but it's entered an irreversible decline curve. And there are 10 calories of hydrocarbon energy, mostly oil, in every calorie of food that's consumed on the planet with an exploding population. There are some serious issues raised there.
Yeah.
But the film is based upon my book, which is called A Presidential Energy Policy, 25 Points Addressing Siamese Twins of Energy and Money.
Okay, so
and that's where we come to normal.
Yeah, that's where things get quite interesting here because, folks, we're talking about this Collapse movie. Check it out at collapsemovie.com. This is a very, very big picture of what's going on with our energy policy and our environment and, like you said, the collapse of human civilization here. And the book, The Presidential Energy Policy, 25 Points Addressing the Siamese Twins of Energy and Money, is not something that would normally attract attention at NORML, but for one small point, and that's where the story gets interesting. So tell our listeners about, these 25 points and why one of the points became problematic.
Well, many of the points have to do with absolutely essential things that need to happen that the Obama administration is either not addressing or misunderstands. but are critical to preserve in the midst of economic collapse, and these two are tied together, some kind of stable culture, so that our children and grandchildren can have something left after we're done mucking things up. Point 24, however, called for the complete legalization of the hemp plant because of its incredible variety of useful applications, everything from food to clothing to paper to even some biofuel applications. And that's been in the book since Varians had the book, and they just chose to make an issue of it right now.
So, out of 25 points, one of them has to do with legalization of the hemp plant. So, 4%, let's say, of the book here. Your publisher, Variance Publishing, you were telling me they've had this since early May. Is that right?
That's correct. In speaking with the publisher, Tim Schulte of Variance, who was based in Little Rock, Arkansas, yesterday, he said he admitted that he had read the book back in June, said that was a serious point, but he'd never raised it with me because, quote, he assumed that would be taken care of in the editorial process.
Yeah, you couldn't have been serious, right?
How do you expect an author to rewrite something if you don't tell him it needs to happen until a few days before it's to go to the printer?
Yeah. Yeah, nobody could seriously want to put hemp legalization in a book. That would naturally come out, right? Come on.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have changed it anyway as a matter of principle.
Of course not. Now, so this publisher, Variance Publishing, now, just 2 weeks before this is supposed to go into bookstores, they're reneging on the deal here. Where does that leave you in terms of getting the book out? Is there any way that anyone can read it?
Yes, it is available in a print-on-demand version from Amazon. I only sold the digital rights to that company, which is New World Digital. It hasn't had much success, but there's been no money behind it, and there were obstacles to overcome there too. But it can be read, and it has been. It's had amazing reviews. It had some. The back cover comments on it are spectacular, but you can get it at Amazon.
Yeah, I see something here in the email about you getting a letter from Jimmy Carter about this.
I'm looking at it right now. It's right above my desk. It's dated June 24, 2009 to Michael Rupert. Thank you for sending me a copy of a presidential energy policy and for the kind inscription and dedication. It is a welcome addition to my collection, and I appreciate your remembering me in such a thoughtful way. Sincerely, Jimmy Carter.
Well, that's fantastic. Now, that's certainly a book we'd want to get out on the shelves to people. So this publisher at Variance, he assumed it would be taken out in the editorial process. What has he given you an official reason why he won't back the book?
Well, it's not that he's not backing the book. He's just killed it. And the official reason was because of point 24, solely because he thought on moral and religious grounds it was unconscionable for him to publish a book that advocated the legalization of the hemp plant. Period. That's what he said.
That's incredible. And as your book addresses in point 24 there, is it mostly devoted to the industrial hemp and not to the cannabis sativa that's used for psychoactive purposes?
Actually, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, years ago, I've been a journalist for a long time, and I had a column in High Times for a year or so, back in about 99, 2000. And my concern has always been about the economics of drug wars. And it's all about money, really. So I don't care. I mean, yes, I do smoke. But that really wasn't the point. The plant itself is so useful. So I don't care whether people grow it to not have to go buy a beer at the corner drugstore or whether they're growing it for the vitamins and oils and minerals and paper and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so what you've covered in this book is also a lot of the material covered in the Collapse movie.
Yes, it is. I want to be clear that the hemp issue is not mentioned in the movie, but the movie and the poster for the movie say it's based on a book by Michael C. Rupert. That's the book we're talking about, which now nobody's going to be able to read unless they know how to hunt for it on Amazon.
Oh, my. Now, for the Collapse movie, I see it's screening in New York City on November 5th, L.A. on November 13th, San Diego, San Francisco, and Berkeley on November 15th. And I suppose there'll be more screenings and more info on the website?
Yes, you can go to the Collapse movie site. That's the official website for the movie. We also have a Facebook page for the movie. And it will be a simultaneous release for video on demand through the Cinetic Film channel. And, some cable carriers have it and some don't. So really now it is a battle to get this absolutely critically adored movie to be seen by as many people as possible. So crowd turnout in those cities is going to be essential to getting that film on more screens, and that will make people read the book.
Excellent. All right. And we want to see how this battle to get the book turns out, so I hope you'll keep in touch about that. What is the next step as far as trying to get the book in people's hands?
Well, I only found out about this yesterday, so I'm still trying to dig out of this bomb crater that I'm in.
Yeah.
And right now I have a lot of demands about the movie. I have to go to a few of the premieres or screenings in various cities, and I've got demands there, and I'm also in a band. I'm just going to catch my breath. I've been battling for a long time against people who don't want to hear what I have to say, or don't want other people to hear what I have to say. So I'm just going to chill for a week before I try to make a plan.
Okay. Well, we'll stay in touch with you and find out what happens with this, and we'll do everything we can to get the word out about Collapse. Check it out at collapsemovie.com. And the Presidential Energy Policy, 25 points addressing the Siamese twins of energy and money, will be out somewhere, somehow, someday, and until then you can go to Amazon.com and look it up. The name is Michael C. Ruppert. That's R-U-P-P-E-R-T. You'll find that on Amazon when you do your search. Michael, any other websites or contacts people need to know if they'd like to get in touch with you?
Yes, if you want to find out more, there are a bunch of links on the Collapse Movie website. You can also go to my blog. I have a blog, which is Mike Ruppert with two P's, ruppert.blogspot.com, and that will take you to all the other sites. And I'm pretty well known throughout the community, so I'm just hoping that people who have some common sense about drug issues are as upset about this as I am.
Oh, well, I'm upset. I'm upset about the publisher not letting your book get out. That's just over that one point is ridiculous, and we'll do everything we can to work around that. Michael C. Ruppert, thank you so much for joining us here on the Daily Audio Stash today.
Man, thank you too. Thank you too.
Thank you for downloading the NORML Daily Audio Stash, the growing truth about cannabis. We are produced by the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws in Washington, D.C. Our executive producer is Alan St. Pierre. Our deputy director is Paul Armentano. Our webmaster is Brian Judy. And web production is provided by Red Aphid Interactive Media. As always, you can catch up on the latest information about marijuana at www.norml.org. And you can interact and download from our Audio Stash blog at stash.norml.org. For everyone here at NORML, I'm your host, Radical Russ Belville, hoping all your harvests are bountiful and your encounters with law enforcement are non-existent.
We leave you today with the reminder that NORML Show Live comes to you 2 hours earlier tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific, so that we can catch the 4:20 p.m. set from Cheech and Chong. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm closing up here in the hotel room. We're going to head out to the Cypress Hill Smokeout. Got plenty of people to meet and lots of interviews to conduct. So thanks for waiting for the stash, and until next time, take care of each other, tokers.